going to have a look at the kanji that we need for the school subjects. We're going to have a look at the first group first, and we're going to begin with the character, which means sun. Here it is over here. You can see the core meaning is sun, and when you add it to this kanji here, you can see down here that core meaning is source. You get this ni, hong, the sun, source. This is the pronunciation ni hong, and of course it means Japan, and the people who named Japan were the Chinese because they looked across to the east, they saw the sun rising out of those islands, and they called it the source of the sun, ni hong. Let's have a look at the etymology of that character here, the character for sun, because they've got evidence of it being used up to nearly 4,000 years ago. Now this is what it looked like. The oracle characters, they were the ones that were written on bones and on shells to divine the future. And you can see that's pretty consistently, it's a kind of circly thing with a line through the middle. And as we go up to the more modern characters, approximately 3,000 years old and newer, again it's more of a circle and a dot. And then this is the set, this is the standardized writing, although there's a lot of variation there, but this is what developed around about 2,000 years ago, and you can see very clearly that's a kind of sun shape, and even it's got those little sparky bits there. And this is the sort of standardized final version about 2,000 years ago. And if we look over here, when it became squared up, it looked like that. Let's check out the stroke order. Here's our kanji. Now it's a box shape, and you should know that with a box shape you always go down on the left hand side. That's your stroke number ichi. And then where you've got a cross and down on the right, that always goes in one, doesn't it? So we go across and down on the right, then left to right, finish off the middle strokes, and finally close it off again, left to right. And there's your character for sun, ni. Next we have hong. It's the second part of Japan. Let's look at what that original picture was. Here it is down here. And in fact, it was a tree with very exaggerated roots. And that, the source of something, of course, is like the roots of a tree. So it's being very clear here. Look, this character is really making a big deal of the root of that tree in each case. So basically, you've got the branches at the top. There's the trunk, and you've got the other branches, and then this line going across there, that indicates the ground, and that's highlighting this bit here underneath, which is the root or the source. Let's have a look at the stroke order. Here we go. We've got the tree bit first, so we're going to go across for our first stroke, down for our seconds, left branch, right branch, and that would be a tree if I were to stop there, but I'm going to indicate the ground, and that's highlighted this bit down here, which is the root. So there we have the source, and it's the hong from ni hong. We're moving now down to our next subject. Actually, Japan is not really a subject, isn't it? Is it? We actually need to make it into a language to make it into a subject. And that's where this character here comes in, because the core meaning of this character is language. And we add it to the sun and the source, and there it is, and we get Nihongo, Nihongo, Japanese language. And the character that we need to learn here is this one, go. Now this character consists of 3 distinct parts. You've got this element on the left, meaning a word, and you've got this element on the top right, meaning 5, and then down here you've got a mouth. Now the element for word you're already familiar with, and you remember that by saying blah, 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 mouth. And the stroke order would be ich, ni, san, shi. Now this bit we're going to go down on the left, as we always do with the box shape, across and down on the right, and finish it off. So that's your kanji meaning word. Now a language is actually a word spoken by many people, and many in this case is represented by 5, so you know how to do that stroke order. Ich, ni, san, shi. And we're always working from left to right and top to bottom, aren't we? And finally we've got to put another mouth in. That's 5 mouths, across and down, and finish it off. Words spoken by 5 mouths. In other words, a language. How perfect. We're going to move down now And we get two other characters here. The character for country, there it is, and the character for outside. And if we put those together, we get outside country language, pronounced gai koku go. There it is, gai koku go, a foreign language. Let's have a look at the kanji for foreign first. This is a very interesting character, and it started off life by just looking like that. That's a divining rod, or it's a little bit like, one of those sticks that they use in the desert to find water. I think we call that a divining rod as well, basically a stick, and that was used to tell the future. Now you can see that the Bronze period, so about 3,000 years ago, it's got this bit added. Now that's actually a picture of a moon, and you can see that shape there is quite moon-like. And if we move up, here you can see much more clearly this moon shape. Look at that, that's a classic moon there on the left. We've still got this divining rod here. And then 2,000 years ago, this is what it looked like. Clearly a moon and a divining rod. And over here is the modern form. Moon on the left, divining rod on the right. And the stroke order is down on the left, across, and down all in one. That's the moon, but it also is identical to the katakana ta. Here on the right we have the divining rod down, and there's a little bit of that extra twiggy bit. Now, divining rod symbolises sort of black magic, if you like, and it happens when the moon's out. So this is kind of the occult, or the alien, the other world, and this has come to mean other. But if you don't like that story, and that's, I think, pretty close to what they think the real story is, you can just remember it as tato. Tato. Tato is outside, because it's just like the katakana ta and to. The next character that we need for this here, this country, this is quite an easy one to remember. Here's what it looked like nearly 3,000 years ago, and you can see this boundary around the outside. And if you think about it, look, in each case there's that boundary very clearly, that never changes. And a country, the most important thing about a country is the boundary around it, isn't it? So you can see that country. Now, there are all sorts of different insights here, and it was standardized as this fairly complicated kanji about 2,000 years ago. If you have a look down here, this is actually what the modern kanji was before the Japanese simplified it and made it look like that. But actually, if you look at the kanji from 2,000 years ago, there was one almost the same. And let's have a look at what the elements of that are. And as usual, it's a box shape, so we go down on the left, we go across and down on the right, and when we've finished filling it in, we're going to close it off, going from left to right. Now in the middle we've got something very interesting. We've got here heaven, and then we've got the link down to earth at the bottom, and the figure in the middle is the king, because he's linking heaven with earth. So I'm going to draw heaven, and we're going to draw the link down to the ground, and pop the king in, and we're going to do the ground, and then we're going to put this, but this is his treasure. So it's the king and his treasure, and this character on its own, king with that little dot, actually means a treasure, and you can use it by itself, but we're putting it inside a border. We're going to close it off, and we've got country, and that gives us gai koku go, foreign language.